Hi, Michael. Thanks for the footage of yourself and Brian. Obviously, starting with Brian, I'll come to your sort of overview, if you will, a little bit later. I mean, you got quite a challenge on your hands here because the guy can obviously strike the golf ball. There's a hell of a lot of power in this swing. I mean, he must hit an absolute country mile. He's a big unit anyway, but I mean, there's a lot of cool things in there. It just needs. I mean, it's ideal for the stack and tilt because he needs a little bit more of a structure to what he's doing. So having the club head speed is fine, but it's how you harness that speed and power and make it more productive and more functional in regards to becoming consistent on a golf course. Subject to what you were alluding to with the divot pattern in your initial email that started this process. I mean, looking at the guy swing it here, I would say that he's not the most how can I put it? He's not the most thorough golfer when he's out on a golf course. I would imagine looking at him here, he plays with quite a lot of flair. A bit of a Bubba Watson, Seve Ballesteros, Phil Mickelson type. I wouldn't imagine he's too precise. I wouldn't imagine he sort of fits into the Bernard Langer mould where everything's very precise and accurate. I think you're definitely going to have to look at how he's aligned out on the golf course because there certainly doesn't look like there's too much going on with here that's going to produce a massive, a divot that's going massively to the right. My main sort of point of focus would be first of all to explain how to keep the axis stable. There's a lot of forward bend maintained there, isn't there? There's not a great deal of extension of the pelvis. A great idea for you would be to try and sort of work the idea of the Frosbury flop into Brian's thinking in regards to what he's doing with the golf club on the way back. He sort of creates his art really by using his arms a lot, doesn't he? There's a lot of lifting of the arms there. So even though he hits it a long way and he's a big unit, he could actually make that more efficient by having by using the body better and the arms less. So I would be trying to get him to set up, focus on, really nailing the arms to the rib cage, explain the importance of pressure point 4 and 5, keeping both arms attached to the torso. Throughout the swing really, but predominantly from P1 to P4. I would have him to, for me, I would start by saying, right, we've got to keep the axis stable, explain why, how maintaining the forward bend like he is doing on the right hand footage there isn't really making that easy. And then I would start to explain or start to get him to propel the butt of the club as far as he can without really using the arms. I've had some great results with students doing this, but really just tightening the arms, getting the arms pinned to the chest and getting him to work the extension in more, stabilising the axis of the shoulder turn a lot. That would make him a much more precise hitter of the golf ball. I mean, if he moves in a linear manner from what we see here on the right hand side, which is what he does, slides those hips in there, he runs the risk of shifting the plane line way to the right, and that would explain the divots going out to the right perhaps, on the days when he's sliding more, that would produce a shallower angle of attack and a divot pattern that was out to the right. As he comes through, there's a tendency to want to throw the arms at it again. I mean, he's using his arms as a massive power source here. He's big enough to do it, but it's really not making him very consistent because there's a lot of moving parts there, and if they're not timed well at that speed, it's going to become very colourful. In order to get him to maintain the arms against the rib cage on the way through, get him to stop as quick as you can. When you get him to stop as quick as he can, you're going to see the closure on the club face starts to slow down. I mean, judging by your email, this guy's a tinkerer, so no matter what you tell him, he's going to question it. So probably a good approach for you would be to actually get him to answer the questions, set him up, get him up so that the arms are nailed to the chest, get a glove under each armpit and ask him to propel the butt of the club as far as he can without either glove coming out on the way back. So that would start to sort of shorten his arm swing and actually encourage him to use his body differently. You could then show him that on video and explain, get him to sort of explain what he's seeing and go through it with him. You've almost got to create the conversation that you want here with this guy. and get him to answer his own questions. Once he's happy with that and he's doing that, and he can see that the head's more stable, that the forward bend's starting to diminish, and that the club's in a better position, and that the overall look of it will just be much more solid, then get him to hit some stopping quick. And I mean stopping so that, you know, almost feeling like the arms aren't going to become, visible in the exit. After about 10 minutes of doing that, you're going to start to see the club face quieten down, close over less. You're going to start to see the exit lower than you're seeing on the left. And you're going to see the right heel start popping up less than you see on the left. And again, stop the film, get the original swing up, get the new swing up, and ask him what he sees, ask him what he likes about that. And you've almost got to... You've got to get him on board so that he doesn't tinker as much, and that he buys into the system on his own terms, if you will. Because I think at the minute the problem you've got is, whilst he agrees with it and he may like the idea of it, he's then finished talking to you, finished at the range, and I would imagine he's over to YouTube, or he's got the golf channel on and he's trying whatever the next guy tells him, and just tinkering. Talented enough to do it. Could he be a lot better player? Without a doubt. Could he be more consistent? Without a doubt. For me, I would have him pinning the arms to the chest. I would really calm that position down that you see on the top left. I'd want to get rid of this big gap under the right arm and against the rib cage. From face on, I'd want to get the head much more stable. I'd want to get rid of that sort of side bend away from the target that you see. And again, the thought process to attack both of those will be to trap the gloves under each armpit and get him to squeeze them so tight that no one could pull them out, and say, right, what I want you to do now is make a backswing without those gloves coming out. So he'd start doing that, feel a little bit alien, and then once that's a little bit more comfortable for him, to try and attack the side bend issue, you would then say, right, same thing, arms, trap the gloves under the arms as tight as you can. This time I want you to propel the butt of the club as far as you can without the gloves coming out. The only way you can do that then is by stretching off the spine properly, because he hasn't got the ability to lift the arms anymore. You've almost got to, we want maximum use of the body, minimum use of the arms for this guy at this stage. And then, so that will be phase one. And then once you've got the backswing tidied up, then I would get him to stop as quick as possible. Film him doing his normal swing first. So you'd want to be looking at sort of what's going on through the golf ball. We've got high exit, high rate of closure from face on. Again, high rate of closure, quite a lot of flex in the right knee, right heel popping up towards us, etc, etc. A lot of flex in the left knee. Just film that first, and then get him to hit shots where he stops as quick as he possibly can, and then start to look at what happens. Because I can tell you now, the right leg's going to straighten, the left leg's going to straighten, the hips are going to raise, the rate of closure is going to slow right down on it. So that would be, you know, another conversation that you could have. That would be my approach. I would get, if he's a pal of yours, you know, spend a couple of hours on the range with him one day, doing a little bit of filming, and almost just trying to, it's as much an assessment as a lesson. It's trying to get him on board with the system and explain to him that, look, if you do these things, other things will start to tidy up as well. And I think once he gets a sniff of that, he's like every other good golfer. If he gets a sniff that he can practice less and hit it better, he's going to rip your arm out your socket. He's going to be hooked on it. But the key points for me will be controlling what the arms are doing on the way back, get rid of some side bend that he's maintaining, and then calm down the rate of closure on the way through. After that, it's a judgment call. It depends on what sort of issue he's got on a week-to-week basis as to which pieces you work on. But that will be my initial assessment of Brian's action. Hope it helps. Hope it helps you get your point across to him. Hopefully, you know, if you show him this footage, that's great. I don't mind, and we can certainly work with you online over the coming months to help Brian progress within the system. Good luck with it, and I'll get straight onto your recap on the back of this one.